Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Ann and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Ann Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go! Annie Carnathan, best part of our day. Every day we're in the podcast studio. So, I'm constantly thinking up topics that I'm curious about. And, we just were at the women's conference and I'm so energized when we go to events like that. What were there? 500 women.
I'm going to tell you, these papers you have in your lap are intimidating me a little bit.
I need them because I'm going to kick off our topic with it. And this will probably air in November, so we're heading into holiday season time there. So I am speaking tomorrow. I was invited by our local chamber, West Shore Chamber, to speak to a junior leadership class.
Oh, how cool.
It's out at Tucky Companies. It's in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And these are mostly juniors. So George Book, the president of West Shore Chamber,
or high school.
He said, Ann, we're looking for someone to talk about personal branding and communication. These are, aspiring young people. So they're juniors and I think one or two seniors. They're off-site at a business.
How perfect for you. You are West Shore's gem, too. So good for George.
So, that's caused me to pause and ponder the kinds of things I would say to a young person because I'm, my sons are way out of high school, but my grandchildren are, just starting elementary. So there's a gap in there, but it wasn't that long ago that Amy Howell and I wrote Students in High Gear. So I go back into that mode. And you and I, as we, like at the women's conference, rub elbows with young people, either recent grads or headed to technical school. And it's good to learn what was their journey. What are they passionate about? What do they care about? What matters to them as they're trying to find the first job? So my charge was to talk to them about communications, and I'm going to talk to them about their digital tattoo. Now, we have done an early episode on your digital tattoo, but some things have changed in the last 2 years in social media and just totally ramped up. So I thought we could discuss a couple things that we in business would like to see younger people do, or we as mothers would tell our younger sons, what to do, what not to do. Now, I found some really cool statistics.
Do you mean what I have told my son?
Well, that too, yes. Do you know there's 328 million terabytes of information created every day? Like that, I don't even know what that definition is, but it's billions and billions. So our lives consist of data points. We know that. And I've told everyone from your first summer internship or your promotion, your superior, your boss, your college recruiter will Google you. And I think, judging by all the content we see online, that's a disconnect right now. Because probably more than 50% of the content I see, 10 years from now, the poster probably would say, I wish I hadn't posted that. I wish I hadn't shared that. So every minute, 16 million text messages are sent. I mean, that's crazy. And Google processes 4.5 billion searches a day. So one thing I want to talk about to these juniors is to ask them to Google fired over a social media post.
That's genius.
And you will see how many people, and there's been a lot recently in world events, people coming out, executives on college campuses posting things that they probably wish that they hadn't, because people are losing their jobs. Scholarships are being rescinded. and have been. Celebrities, actors are losing opportunities based on the kind of content they post. Not just today, but this is, every single day. And so we want to talk about some insights. What would we tell young people now? What are some, we talked about guardrails in our last episode. What are some guardrails you would advise young people to institute, and again, to be disciplined so they don't find themselves on the wrong end of a search?
Whoo-wee.
And this goes to any age.
So my first question is, are these kids tomorrow allowed to have their phones for that exercise for you to say Google?
Oh, they probably do have their phones. Yeah.
Okay. Because then that's like,
yeah.
I love that because it starts out in their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how they do everything. I think, when I think about this, what do you say to a child?
Yeah.
And what do you say about judgment? And the proliferation of that and trying to put guardrails around kids, trying to find their way socially from a maturity standpoint, from a developmental standpoint. I often say
this spills over into mental health as well.
100%. And it precisely. And it bleeds into sort of like, and I say this with peace and love, as you know, because we have boys, that's a boy brain, right? It's just not something that will happen even in a year.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have happened differently a year ago. And I believe now, much as our own, like, you're being Googled before the interview even considers
absolutely.
taking, before you ever even make it into the maybe pile, right? For interview. And it's so easy to just apply electronically with no consideration, thought, or whatsoever. And so look, the less posted, the less anyone has to worry about how it's interpreted. I mean, look at the amount of people, quote unquote, canceled just to wrap it up in a bow, only to find out nothing was remotely true or accurate about it. And now their career is in tatters. Maybe their marriage is in tatters, and none of it was true.
In their future.
And precisely. And there's no way to put the toothpaste back in the tube. And so how do you say that? I would just used to say to my son, like you have to imagine I'm looking at everything, or your dad is looking at everything. If we want to go even two better, your grandmothers are looking at everything.
That's always great. I used to tell, my sons that it didn't really, to the older ones, it didn't apply as much because they were in college just when Facebook and the rest of them were coming out. But I think one charge I will tell the young people is go through all your profiles now and delete any posts that will harm the future you. That could be photos. That could be situations
it's like a cleansing,
you're
right?
in. Yeah.
It's a washing of maybe in a different day you would not have done that.
Yeah. It's not worth it. And really, when we go back, if I put myself in as a junior, thank heavens we didn't have social media. You're living and you're with your friends and you're not really thinking 10 years down the road. You're not thinking 2 years down the road. So now the young people really have to be encouraged to put everything in perspective, about even courses they take, people they hang around with, choices they make, because now those choices really can have long-term consequences. So the digital media, what we have in our hands with the phones, any mobile device really is, it's an amazing opportunity that opens, high potential, but it's also can really be our demise.
And it can be weaponized.
Yeah.
And so if I could have said to myself through my career, especially with the proliferation of email and everything, like remember when email was instantaneous for us? I'm like, what? And just saying, was that age old wait 24 hours.
Yeah.
Until you solely from an emotional standpoint.
And that's good. That's, create the post. If you want to, call someone out.
Create the party pictures, the posts.
Don't post it and then delete it.
Then later on, say, here was my Halloween party Friday night.
And
right?
I think, so going through and removing any posts that are harmful. It's one thing I will share. Number 2, put up good photos of yourself. So if you're discovered for your junior year internship, or you have an opportunity to do a half day work release, that's what we used to refer to it as. If you're headed into your senior year and you've got an opportunity to intern at a company, make sure that everything on there, is you in your best light. It can be casual, but just you in your best light, and not somewhere where, it would cause people not to hire you or not to get the second interview.
And I think there's no way, I mean, even a helicopter parent couldn't, of which thankfully we weren't, but at some point it's judgment, right?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily what's taught, but what those values look like to at all costs, like, here's what I can't post fast enough for whatever reason. And I look back and I think, man, I just never, ever, like, I call it fake book and I have nicknames for everything, but I just didn't ever want that. I wanted the eyes, and I wanted the interaction, and I wanted the personal touch. And so I think I just always didn't look at that at all. I mean, LinkedIn's very important to me. It's my career.
Yeah.
Those are meaningful connections for the most part. And so it wasn't prevalent in our house. But again, I'm not taking any credit. Yeah. I think that kids or young adults or whatever aren't looking ahead.
Yeah.
Right? They're looking at, and look, life comes at them fast. I think girls specifically have to grow up way faster than they ever had to before. And the pressures of that, what kids do online to each other.
Right.
And so I just also think the flip side of that is how employers have to give some grace for that.
I hope they do.
Because how many kids haven't done something
well, we can
knuckleheaded, right? Like, just with peace and love that they weren't dopes about.
Right. I never in high school ever imagined myself starting or owning a business. Ever, ever, ever. So I would encourage them, the possibilities are endless, thank heavens. And there's plenty of people to surround and support you as you explore what those opportunities look like. But say you aspire to a scholarship, you aspire to some kind of, professional athlete goal. You have no idea if you will pursue, public office somewhere at any level. It could be township supervisor, it could be, state representative, could be Congress. These things are maybe 20 years down the road. But we're fooling ourselves if we don't think someone's going to dig up anything and everything. And we just hope that it's innocuous enough that, we'd be able to say that, I hadn't lived long enough to understand that. And, I probably shouldn't have posted that, or this is what I believe today.
I think it's like saving money, right? There's got to save it for a rainy day. What does that even mean, right? But it lasts. And so it's sort of, if I have it today, I spend it today. And never has our society been more me today.
Yeah.
From a credit card, like the whole financial aspect of that.
Right.
And I think too, last week, for instance, I came in Monday morning or whatever, there's those guardrails I'm trying to put up again. And I had, our friend Amy Murray.
Yes.
Like, just
Did you get a card? Adorable. She's our phenomenal.
So, right. So, you know what? I took an extension of that because the only thing I like reading more than her cards are who made her cards.
Oh, yes.
So along the way, whatever card she sends me, I turn it over, I find who sourced it, and all of a sudden I have a drawer of cards like this big. And so I've gotten away from like the standard thank you card I handwrite. I've done it my entire career. because I thought, at the very least, I am sincerely grateful to have taken
Yes.
time with me. Appointments are really hard to get. And I thought at the very least, now I made a second sales call when they get this. And I didn't ask for a thing, right? Still haven't asked for anything. 2 sales calls, right? So, but it wasn't like calculated at that point. So come in Monday morning, and part of the joy of Amy Murray in so many levels is to go in my drawer at where pick out these cards for people.
Yeah.
Because I never did that. I always had
that's
like
awesome.
a standard thing I wrote, and my name's on the front, and quotes on the back. I'm a quote freak. So I'm like walking out, and someone says to me, "Oh, like Annie, blah blah blah," and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm mailing my thank you cards." And you do you still do that? Like, yeah, I used to do 12 or 18 a week.
Wow.
But I did 5.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
But it's just very, very impactful.
Yeah.
And I think most people now do a thank you email, a thank you text.
That's a good business vitamin is especially for young people. Like if we got a handwritten note from a high school junior, are you kidding me?
What?
We would put it on our desk. So that's a very good business vitamin.
When I would go back to these accounts, now remember I was at SHIP full time. I only sold radio 3 days a week.
Right.
So it might be 2 or 3 weeks till I got back to this next meeting or whatever, if they didn't ghost me or you're starting all over or whatever. And when it started to dawn on me that people had these displayed, had it on their desk, had it on their, and I'm like, one doctor one day, it's like, "Have I written you 8 thank you cards?" He's like, "Yep." And and I thought, wow.
That's so cool.
Yes. And so there's just ways that you're trying to impact the entire body of your life. And so, and our son, if he gets a gift and can't thank whomever gave him this gift in person or whatever, the deal is he has to write them a thank you card. So that may go on a day. Here's the okay. Well, that's easy. We'll give the gift back. Card gets out, right? just to sort of say that's who you are. That's your spirit. That's how grateful we are. And so I think when you look out, kids are kids, and what is sort of their brain at that point, there has to be grace for these digital natives that grew up that way, right? So I'm taking the counterpoint of
I love it. Yeah, I love it. And
kids are going to do that.
Yeah,
that's the way they communicate. That's the way they live. That's the way they are.
Right. And it's a good reminder, even for adults, because the things that I was writing down that I'm going to share apply to myself and to a lot of adults I see posting content. I mean, people that I know well, where I scratch my head and think, "Oh my word, I'm not quite sure why, that person posted that."
It's the soft skills. It's the EQ. It's so many ways. It's so crazy. I have to explain to people the world doesn't live electronically. Not really. Right. You don't need to be sitting on the other side of this wall and be texting me. And it's sort of like now everything's text and even emails. We don't want emails. We want to be here because it's more secure. And it's like and I'm sending my guy things all the time. I'm like, am I being hacked? Is this real? I don't even know anymore. And I want less and less to do with it. I don't need that kind of convenience, right? I need this. I need a pen and I need pencils, right? What are they called?
Blackwing. Oh. That's our favorite pencil.
I can't pick up a Blackwing.
That's a great Gravitas
I have
pencil.
Purple, black. I have every color since you turned me onto them. I can't pick one up without thinking of you. And what could be more fun than that? So I think I'm really off topic, but I think the point is it has to work both ways. If you do a totally knuckleheaded whatever, right? I mean, Wild Horses isn't going to stop you from doing that.
Right. And that,
on the employer
that's
side,
a path you choose to go down.
Come on, right? If it's that egregious, shame on you, because we all have flaws. We all have things we wish we took back, could take back. Right. I don't need a social post to want that. I got a million of them, right? The things I would like to take back.
In the course of me writing down my insights I want to share, I sent it to a 9th grader who's in the thick of all this, and I love some of his insights too. And really, I loved, so this is Marissa's son, Mason.
That's awesome.
He took out some of my words because it was, I used the word PowerPoint. And he said, say Google slide, because we don't talk about PowerPoints. And I wanted it to be meaningful for the young people. But he had a great, so delete the prior post, use a really good photo, like put some forethought into how you're framing your story. Think long term. So treating online communication as if it is your book. You are publishing it. That includes emails and text messages.
It's a chapter book.
Everything is discoverable.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So if you honestly want to have a private conversation, you're going to have someone meet you at the park. And the phones are going to stay in the car. They're not going to be in the car. You're going to go for a walk.
Spy
and
stuff.
That's just your conversation. But he had a good point about sharing that if you're in question, make sure. So to us, it would be surrounding ourselves with wise counsel, our personal board of advisors that we have. But for him, saying, talk it over with your parents. Is this something you really want to share? Making sure that someone can help you understand what you don't know. You don't know down the road what might be helpful or hurtful, but making sure, give your phone to your parents periodically. So it's like a check and balance for you.
Yeah. And I think it's sort of, for me, like the person you would least want to disappoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
And think about them. Like it's a very 21st century version of what would Jesus do?
And give yourself, so we say give yourself grace, but give yourself a runway to have your opinions and experiences change. I mean, so much has changed.
You said the C word. You said change.
Even from when I was college, like a lot of thoughts and opinions have changed. Most of my thoughts and opinions. So give yourself some understanding that, what might be true today for you might not be true in the future. And that's fine sharing that. But would that harm you or open a door for you? And
aren't people so rigid today?
Well, I know that.
And so I think anytime we can stress an open mind, and I may not agree with you, and I'm talking Ann and Annie, but man, do you have...
Well, there's a lot we don't agree on.
And that's exactly right.
I love.
That's right. And I value and respect and admire your opinion, because that makes you you. And you don't get to pick and choose, right?
Right. But I love to hear what's the other, what's your thought process? How did you arrive at that? And walk me through that, So you need to surround yourself with honest people, even in high school. That could be a teacher. That could be, a parent.
People
that could
say
be
that,
a neighbor.
but they need to mean it. I'm just gonna put an exclamation.
Because you have that truth teller DNA, which is good.
People don't.
I
They
love
want
that.
someone to attack for it.
Yeah. No.
Like sort of their truth is bigger. That great. It is yours, right? Like it doesn't matter.
I consider you a great friend because you will tell me, like, Ann, I don't think that's the best thing. Don't let me go down a path if it's not the best thing.
Oh, I think there's no better concept for that. And I know we're down a rabbit hole, but than this show, because guests have to be mutually agreed upon. And yes. So maybe
they have to make it to the short list.
Oh, gung ho, and you're like, and then you're like major gung ho, like, right. And so I just think that this entire show is give and take. And that's in part why it works.
Yeah.
And it's always chemistry first. But good Lord, I love a different point of view.
That's how we learn.
Opinions can't.
That's
your
how we
opinion
learn.
Can't be wrong just because I don't agree with it.
Right.
Doesn't make your opinion. You can't be wrong with what you think.
That's exactly
right?
true.
Yeah.
And so we talk about putting a little strategy into what you're gonna post and share. And I know back in the day when we grew up, we had diaries, and you would have, lost your mind if someone found your diary and read it. Now,
that's why I never had one.
Now we get upset online if no one reads our diary. The diary is all online.
That's very interesting.
The diary is public.
I like what you did there.
Now we get upset if you didn't like it and comment and share.
That's sensational. Or we're criticized.
Yeah.
Oh, that's delicious. That's
so
good.
We need to really have a strategy on what we're going to post.
And I think we is operative to kids because you don't want to be mom or grandmom.
No, I know.
You want to be
right.
what you're doing right now. We.
Yes.
Us.
Yes. And I think, so we'll just, everything we post forms a digital composite of ourselves. And a phrase that I love, that your story, whoever tells the story writes history. So you got to be in charge of your story. I want to look back and be proud of the story that we're writing.
Joe, probably said this on her podcast, but Tracy Salinger, Unique Limousine.
Yes.
Longest time for her email signature through the year was well-behaved women rarely make history. I thought, well, then I'm going to be right there in the dictionary beside history. So,
and I think it's good to remember what reputation you're creating for yourself.
Yeah, and well-behaved to me means just sort of going along to get along, not making a ruckus, not being, not necessarily what some of the things we're talking about posting.
Right.
At frat parties and Halloween parties in college and all this stuff. No. I'm like well-behaved, meaning like between the lines, be seen and not heard, and be a good girl.
I think there's rarely the person who says, I wish I would have posted more. There are people who say, I can't believe you let me share that. I can't believe I posted that. Or what picture did I end up in that I didn't realize I was ending up in? So Warren Buffett has a good quote that I've shared many times. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about
that's a cancel culture. Yep.
You'll do things differently.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, and I don't want to dissuade the young people from being online and creating their personal brand, because that's in large measure, including to the in-person interview or a personal recommendation. That's what we're going to do our research on. So the keys are in your hands. Really write a great story, have fun, take advantage of technology, but just always, don't be your own worst enemy.
And you know what's questionable and what isn't, and make whomever fill in the blank proud.
Yeah. And if it's questionable, you can't go wrong by not posting it.
So that's absolutely 100%, because it's obvious to you for sure.
So I think on that note, we often say you are who Google says you are. Whatever turns up on page 1 is kind of your personal story. So I'm hoping the more podcasts we do, like I'm showing up on your page 1.
You tell me all the time to Google myself, and I think
absolutely.
I don't think of that.
You have to be, the safeguard of your reputation.
I don't need more of me, though. I don't think so.
You have to manage your reputation, which is good.
No, just real quickly.
I got it.
When I Googled it, what would I do with what I saw? How would I manage that?
You would know, what your reputation is, which I'm sure is fine.
I can't believe there's not a company, and I know I'm down another rabbit hole, that can't erase all of that for you. Or is there a company that can do that?
Well,
wouldn't that be a thing?
Can you put the ocean back in a bottle? I don't know.
All right. Toothpaste back in the tube.
That too.
So this is, I'm just giving us a shout out and how important this is for you and I to do together, for the people that take their time to listen, because we vote with our time. And just how essential it is, and I'll speak for me, to my mental health and to my ability to just have the pride in our tribe.
Yeah. And I think, we'd love to hear from people. We post content about Grit and Gravitas on Instagram. Follow us, share your thoughts, share any experiences. If you've got great tips that you have used with, high school and college students that would help them, we would love to hear it.
Love to hear it.
All right, Annie, thanks always for your insights.
So much we don't know, Ian.
I know. We're working hard to find out.
You're the best, ADG.
Oh, have a great day. Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.